recording. Fantastic. All right, let's start with your first and last name.
First name is Marvin, last name is Crumer.
Super, and how old are you?
47.
And how many children do you have?
I have two.
What are their ages and names?
22-year-old is Dominique, and 12-year-old is Malik.
And they're both boys?
Both boys.
Fantastic. Yes. And who is your facilitator at Father Support Center?
Forgot his name.
Mr. Slaughter?
Mr. Slaughter. Yeah.
Yes?
It's been a while, but yeah, it's Mr. Slaughter.
He
yes.
spoke very highly of you.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Now, let's just go back. Tell me about growing up and how you didn't have a father.
Well, like I said, I really don't have a lot of memories of my father because he was in and out. Around the time I say when I was about 4 or 5, I remember him, being around in the house, in and out, like I said, in and out. It wasn't until I was older till I knew who my father was.
Yeah.
That's when he started coming around, spending a little quality time with me, taking me to the park, things of that nature, having a conversation when I was able to conversate with him. So that's when, I knew, but by that time, like I said, he was in and out.
Yeah.
My grandfather pretty much took on the role as being, that father figure for me.
Oh, sure.
And so, I knew who he was, but like I said, he was in and out. And so, it was a relationship, but it wasn't impactful because he was not there, all the time.
Super. And what brought you to Father Support Center? Approximately how old were you as well?
I think around the time I went to Father Support Center, I was around the age of, I want to say 36, 37. It was right after my son was born.
Is that Malik?
That's Malik. Yeah, it was right around that time. And basically, like I said, I went because I knew that I would be there for my son. But I just didn't have the confidence that I would be all that he needed me to be.
Was that because you didn't have that one-on-one father relationship growing up?
Yeah, definitely. It was just that doubt that I had. I knew that I would be there. More than anything else. I was like, I will be there for his first everything. But it's all the other things that I was, worrying about. If I would be enough for him. Mm-hmm. So I just needed, all the resources, all the support that I could get, just to make me believe or to make me know that I would be enough for him.
How'd you hear about Father Support Center?
I worked with Boys and Girls Club of Greater St. Louis. So they had partnered with Boys and Girls Club with a lot of different events. They always had tables at our events at the Boys and Girls Club, and I ran into Chester Deans
yes.
a few times. And Mr. Deans, he was always, shaking hands and asking, hey, what do you do here? Or you're a father, you should check us out. We got classes. And so, I always kept his card, and I always had an ear listening to what was going on at Father Support Center. So I decided, one day, hey, I need to try this, especially being a new father. I just wanted to, just to take myself to the next level and be able to learn, what it took to actually be involved with other men who had been through it, and just see, what type of information that they can give me to help me out.
Tell me some of the things, yes, tell me some of the things that you remember learning that made you a better father. I know it's been a while. Yeah,
I think the biggest thing was just to have patience. To not put to not put all these high expectations on myself as a man, because I was still learning myself, and that I would have to have that same type of attitude when dealing with my child. That I can't put these high expectations on him. You have to walk through them with it. You have to learn while they learn. You have to be patient. And I remember Mr. Slaughter saying specifically, he gave an example. He said, how can you expect a 7-year-old to be a man? He said a lot of times that's how we look at kids, as if they're supposed to know everything. But he was like, you weren't a man at 7 years old. So how can you expect your child to be a man at 7 years old? It's a process. You know, you have to be patient. You have to work with them. You have to understand. You have to listen. So I think that stood with me all the time. And I go through situations with my son now to where, you know, like say for instance, a teacher calls, or if he's breaking his cell phones, you know, I get a little upset, but then I think about it and I'm like, he's an active child. You know, things like this happen. You have to be patient. You have to work through it. So I use those as kind of like teachable moments for him and for myself. You know, it calms me down, and I also can share with him, you know, hey, you know, don't worry about it. We'll get through it. Let's work it out. Here's what we should do next time. And then it works itself out. So I just learned that patience through what Mrs. Slaughter told me in the class.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about Malik and Dominique.
Mm-hmm.
How's Dominique? Dominique's 22.
Yes.
What's he doing these days?
Well, he's working. He graduated high school, you know, with honors. Great student, great kid. He's never been in trouble. When I met my wife, he was 9 years old. So that was another thing that I had to learn how to deal with. You know, he was pretty much just used to being with his mom. So being a different face, stepping in as a man, mm-hmm. and then trying to teach him, you know, right from wrong. That was another hurdle that, you know, I had to get over, but we worked through it together. But yeah, he's a great kid. I mean, like I said, he model student. He was able to get a scholarship to Mizzou. Oh. He went to Mizzou for a couple of years. It wasn't for him, a little too fast for him. You know, he was used to being at home. Mm-hmm. So now he's attending Florissant Valley Community College, but he's working full time.
Home Depot?
Yeah, he's working at Home Depot full time, and then he's still going to school part time.
That's fantastic.
And so yeah, he's doing pretty good.
How about Malik?
Malik is he's just an active kid. He's a 12-year-old. You know, he swims, he plays basketball. Of course, he does all the things that the normal kids do, video games. He's into technology. He's just a good kid. I think, you know, the biggest thing about him is he has a huge heart. And, you know, it was just me teaching him from the beginning just to be nice to people. Mm-hmm. You know, and both of them are, but Malik is just, he's one of those kids to where, I mean, you know, we go on trips, we do anything, and he's making friends wherever we go. Wherever we go. So he's just a very, very happy kid. You know, and that's what I like. That's what I love about him.
Tell me about how you impact kids now more directly. You had spent, 15 years mm-hmm. at Boys and Girls Club?
Yes. And
you were at Boys and Girls Club while you were at Father's Support Center?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And now, before you had described it as an indirect impact working with kids, and now you were directly working with kids. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing was that that's just been my background. Like I said, growing up in a single parent home, I had the responsibility, being the oldest of 5, to kind of help raise my brothers and sisters. So from that, it was natural for me to, you know, be around, you know, to help with the kids, you know. Took the job at Boys and Girls Club, working with kids. I actually attended the Boys and Girls Club first. So I always had, you know, kind of like a extended family with the Boys and Girls Club. I had the men there who always kept me on, you know, on the right path, staying out of trouble, staying away from drugs, things of that nature. Then all the neighborhood kids went there. So I made friends there. All of my peers were there. So of course, you know, as I got older, they did so much for me, helping me grow up. Mm-hmm. I wanted to return that. So I wound up getting a job there. So that job allowed me to provide opportunities for basically the kids in my neighborhood, mm-hmm. the kids that look like me, the kids that, you know, I saw every day. So, you know, started working with them, started doing programs, projects with the kids in the neighborhood. 15 years, you know, of working with the kids in the neighborhood. So it's great.
Now you're director of Parks and Rec.
Yeah. So then that extended from, you know, the what do you call it? The Boys and Girls Club. Well, one of my co-workers there, Reggie Jones, who I worked with for 15 years, he's actually the mayor here in Dalewood. So, you know, after conversation, the job came open, and he talked to me about it. You know, it was a hard decision, you know, like I said, but, you know, the potential to directly impact the community, more kids, and then also other people in the community to provide opportunities for families, not only kids, but entire families. I just couldn't pass it up.
That's
you know, it's what I wanted to do. So that's my current position. So I took the job here in the city of Dalewood. And like we talked about before, you know, it was in 2014, 3 months before the unrest in Ferguson. So as soon as I hit the ground here, that happened.
Let's segue. It's perfect finishing up part of the interview.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on Ferguson, looking back 5 years ago, the death of Michael Brown, compared to today? Have we made progress as a city? And what would you recommend to the youth in Ferguson right now who have to continue to live with the legacy? What are your thoughts?
Personally, I think that there's been some attempts to make change, but the attempts, to me, in my opinion, are not heartfelt attempts for change. I think because of that situation, people wanted to offer things and say, hey, you know, well, let's do something. But I don't think that the intent is always right, you know. And what I mean by that is, I think you have to go out and find these kids, find these families, and actually bring them in. A lot of times they don't feel comfortable with coming to you with their issues or what's going on in their personal home. So you have to be, you know, you have to be out there. You know, you have to go find them. You have to call them. You have to bring them in and offer the things that they need. It's not good enough to put up a sign and say, hey, you know, we're giving away free food. I mean, because a lot of times they don't get to you to see that. You have to get out there to where they are. You have to go knock on doors. You have to talk to grandma. You have to talk to mom, and you have to bring them in. And that's just one of the things that I learned, you know, growing up. I mean,
you lived in Ferguson.
Like I said, I lived in Ferguson. I moved in Ferguson in 2008, and I stayed there for 6 years, you know, and then I moved out. But it changed the face of how everybody does business around here. You still have people who are actually just scared to come in this area, you know, because it just left a bad look on the city. And then, then with the recent, you know, shootings and crime that's going on, you know, it's not helping the situation.
Right.
But, you know, at the same time, there's a lot of good that came out of it too. You know, right away here in Dalewood, you know, we started an after-school program right away. Right after that happened, we turned our facility over to United Way. I mean, you know, we're in Dalewood, but right away, United Way approached us and said, hey, can we use your building? You know, we want to do some outreach for the families in 63136, 63135. And, you know, I talked to the mayor. I said, hey, we should do it. He had enough confidence in me that we were doing the right thing, and we opened the building up for 5 whole days. And United Way was able to serve over 2,000 families in that 5 days here. And from that, with people coming into the building, you know, they started asking questions, you know, hey, what's going on here? We didn't know this building was here. We didn't know you had a swimming pool. We didn't know you had a computer lab. So the wheels start turning, and we said, well, hey, you know, and people wanted to help. How can we help? So we started up a pool of volunteers. We started an after-school program, which is very successful until this day. You know, we have over 40 kids in our after school program that come every day. We provide food for them, high yield learning activities, and it's a great program. And then also we've been able to start a variety of other programs just with the community, dance classes, cooking classes.
Ever since Ferguson.
Ever since Ferguson. So we've been able to do a little bit of everything for everybody. We've had a dog clinic this past weekend.
No way.
Over 200 dogs and 13 cats were here to get free vaccinations. So people took notice of this facility, and we started opening the doors for everybody. And what was known as a soccer arena is now basically seen as a community center.
Wow.
Because if you Google Dalewood's soccer arena, that's basically what it is. But we've changed it to Dalewood Community Center, and that's
the
just
media's not going to want to hear this.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're talking
yeah,
about it.
and basically because we want to serve our community, and everybody that lives in this community and people outside of the community. Probably 50% of the people that come here are outside of our community, but the resources are offered, so they come.
It's perfect.
You did awesome.